This is Africa Now on TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African network. I am Adesuwa Osui. We'll start with political stories. The United Nations Security Council will meet on Tuesday to discuss Somalia's political uncertainty. Somalia's opposition has vowed not to recognize President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo, whose term ended on Monday. It remains unclear when elections will be held. Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo has not addressed the nation since his term ended on Monday. His last speech was on wanting to facilitate free and fair elections in Somalia. That was after talks on how to proceed with elections collapsed on 5th February. There has been no communication from his office since Monday, and uncertainty remains. Sudan's Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok announced Monday a new cabinet bringing in 7 ex-rebel chiefs as ministers following a peace deal in October aimed to end decades of war. Veteran rebel leader and economist Gibril Ibrahim of the Justice and Equity Movement, GEM, which played a major role in the Darfur conflict, was appointed as Sudan's new finance minister. We have reached consensus on over 25 ministries, Hamdok said during a press conference in Khartoum. This lineup aims to preserve these countries from collapse. We know there will be challenges, but we are certain that we will move forward. Hamdok dissolved the previous cabinet on Sunday to make way for a more inclusive lineup in government. 2 ministers were selected from the military, with the remaining coming from the Forces for Freedom and Change group, which was the driving force behind the anti-government protest that led to the April 2019 ouster of strongman Omar al-Bashir. Named as foreign minister is Mariam al-Sadiq al-Mahdi, daughter of Sudan's last democratically elected Prime Minister Sadiq al-Mahdi. Hamdok said his government will continue with completing other pillars of the peace agreement, including establishing a transitional parliament by February 25. He also said the new government will focus on fixing the ailing economy. Away from politics, the United Nations mission in the Central African Republic, MINUSCA, announced Monday the arrival of its first convoy of humanitarian aid in Bangui since the blockade of the capital by rebels 50 days ago. On December 19, rebels who already occupied 2/3 of the Central African Republic launched an offensive with the aim of overthrowing the regime of President Faustin Archange Touadéra. 14 trucks, 9 of them from the UN's World Food Programme, arrived, said Lieutenant Colonel Abdulaziz Fall, spokesman for the MINUSCA peacekeeping mission, on Monday. In addition to the 9 food trucks, the others are trucks containing equipment for MINUSCA, he said. More than 1,600 trucks had been blocked at the Cameroonian border since then. As the country is completely landlocked in the heart of the continent, food arrives by road via neighboring Cameroon. On the Tigray crisis, the United Nations Food Agency has said it has agreed to a deal with Ethiopia to expand access for aid workers and scale up operations in the war-hit Tigray region. UN officials have repeatedly complained about the lack of humanitarian access to the northern region as fears grow of a humanitarian disaster, especially starvation. The government and the World Food Programme have agreed on concrete steps to expand access for humanitarian across Tigray, and the WFP will scale up its operations. WFP chief David Beasley said on Twitter. Beasley said on Twitter that 20,000 tons of food will be transported to 1.3 million people. The conflict erupted on November 4 after Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ordered a military offensive against Tigray's former governing party before declaring victory almost a month after. Thousands of civilians are believed to have died and millions have fled their homes. The region has been largely cut off to NGOs and the media. This is your digital first Pan-African network, TOS TV network. You're watching Africa Now. More stories from the African continent after the break. Do stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. Latest developments have it that health officials in the Democratic Republic of Congo have started tracing those who came in contact with patients who died from Ebola. The 42-year-old woman died last Wednesday in North Kivu province, just 2 days after developing symptoms of the disease. A team of epidemiologists are on the ground investigating the case, and authorities have announced that the disinfection of the sites visited by the patients was underway. Health Minister Eteni Longodo says doctors are determining whether the latest cases are from a new strain of the disease. He also called for calm in the affected community. The World Health Organization has already identified more than 70 contact cases of the disease. The trial of 2 Central African Republic rebel leaders scheduled to open at the International Criminal Court (ICC) on Tuesday has been postponed to 16 February. Alfred Yekatom and Patrice Edward Ngasona face 21 and 32 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity respectively. The alleged crimes include intentionally directing an attack against civilian population. They will be tried jointly as the charges relate to the same attacks. The Central African Republic was plunged into turmoil in 2013 when predominantly Muslim rebels from the Seleka group seized power in the majority Christian country. A band of mostly Christian militias called the Anti-Balaka rose up to counter the Seleka after President Francois Bozize was ousted. Ngasona was the self-declared political coordinator of Anti-Balaka forces. In this role, the ICC says he committed war crimes and crimes against humanity, including murder, torture, and the recruitment of child soldiers. The trial of Ngasona and Yekatom will start weeks after the Central African Republic handed over Mohamed Said Abdelkani, a leader of the Seleka faction, to the ICC over alleged crimes committed in the capital, Bangui, in 2013. At least 24 people died after heavy rain flooded an illegal underground textile workshop in a private house in Morocco's port of Tangiers. Rescue workers recovered 24 bodies from the property and rescued 10 survivors who were taken to hospital. The state agency MAP said on Monday, citing local authorities, the deceased were submerged as water reached 3 meters deep, authorities said. Local media outlets indicated at least some of the victims may have been electrocuted as the incoming water interfered with power facilities, but there was no immediate confirmation of those reports. Morocco has experienced heavy rains in recent weeks after a long period of drought. Poorly maintained drainage system often exacerbate flooding in cities. Morocco's informal labor sector represents about 1/5 of non-agricultural economic activity, and laborers are often prey to unsafe working conditions. Hip-hop artist Akon has launched another business endeavor on the African continent. This time it is in the mining industry in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as he has signed a deal to finance a copper and cobalt mine in the Central African country in a joint venture with a state miner. The Senegalese star is delving into the sector by way of a firm which is registered in the United States and sees Akon, whose birth name is Alioune Thiam, recorded as both the president and the CEO of the company as per contract published on the Mines Ministry website. One of the contracts reportedly signed the Grammy-nominated singer on December 14 of last year reveals a commitment of his company to pay a $2 million signing bonus and to finance a feasibility study of the Kimono reserves in Haut Kantaga province. Akon, his team and his company representatives are yet to fully open up to the public and international media about the project. The Democratic Republic of Congo is Africa's top producer of copper and the world's leading miner of cobalt. But the country has suffered considerable economic exploitation for its abundant natural resources at the hands of Western entities. This is your digital first Pan-African network, TOS TV network. You're watching Africa Now. Still ahead, business, sports, and entertainment. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. In business, oil prices on Monday rose to their highest in just over a year, with Brent futures bumping past $60 $60, I beg your pardon, a barrel, a market report by Reuters showed, boosted by supply cuts among key producers and hopes for further U.S. economic stimulus measures to spur demand. A sustained climb in oil prices signals heightened risk of imported inflationary pressure, which would reflect on consumer products and services, considering that Kenya entirely depends on fuel imports. The rise in prices will increase inflationary pressure, also considering the weakening shilling. Fuel prices, a significant 14.6% of the consumer price index, and also impacts transport and food costs. Ronaldo de Souza, head of research at Sterling Capital, said inflation in Kenya has ticked up in recent months, pressured by rising food and fuel prices. Food inflation hit a 6-month high of 7.2% in December 2020, while fuel inflation struck 12.1% in January this year, the highest since October 2020. Data by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics shows that overall inflation in December stood at an 8-month high of 5.62%. The state had earlier indicated that it would caution consumers whenever crude prices cross the $50 a barrel mark through a subsidy which excludes petrol. EPRA Acting Director General Daniel Kipto, however, said that the regulations to manage the subsidy were not yet ready. And in sports, the South Sudan national basketball team is in Rwanda for a 2-week camp as it prepares for the upcoming AfroBasket qualifiers. The qualifiers will take place in Monastir, Tunisia from February 17 to 21. In the competition, South Sudan was placed in Group D, where it will rub shoulders with Rwanda, Mali, and Nigeria. Under the leadership of head coach Liu Deng, a former Chicago Bulls forward, the South Sudan team is camping at Onoma Hotel in Kigali and will hold training at the Kigali Arena. Landry Jabo, the Afro basketball coordinator and executive director at the Rwanda Basketball Federation, told Time Sport that South Sudan chose to camp in Rwanda because of the way the country has handled the COVID-19 pandemic. South Sudan will travel to Tunisia on February 14, 3 days before the Afro Basket tournament begins. And that is Africa Now, your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS TV. For more updates, do visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Do also follow and like TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS TV Network. I am Adesuwa Osuyi. Bye for now.